we have had a huge increase in the amount of debris that has been collected. 128,000 pounds of debris from the ocean, which is a huge ecological environmental impact. Being able to produce this plastic lumber in collaboration with this company in Omaha, Nebraska, I think has been a huge breakthrough. Marine debris is an issue that isn't unique to Hawaii. I see a global potential for this. My name is Mafalda de Freitas. I am an environmental scientist and I'm the Mega Plastics Program Director at CMDR. Every day, millions of tons of plastic enters the ocean, and through ocean circulation, it washes up on these coastal communities that have no responsibility for it. Being able to take away a lot of this debris from the ocean, our Bounty program has removed, I think it's 128 tons. I think incredibly impactful how much we've been able to remove from the ocean in such a short space of time.
My name's Katie Stevens. I'm the project manager for the Center for Marine Debris Research Bounty Project. Hawaii's in a unique location. We kind of act as a sieve, like the currents come past Hawaii and the islands are there to catch a lot of the floating debris swirling around in the garbage patch. All kinds of nets and lines can tangle together in the currents out in the ocean and become a big mass of like a couple hundred or a couple thousand pounds. So that can bulldoze a whole coral reef. Corals are pretty slow growing, so that quick damage wipes out decades or hundreds of years of coral growth. We work with the Hawaii Longline Association, which is 150 longline vessels that port in Honolulu. So they go out into the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and if they see derelict fishing gear out there, they pick it up and bring it back to prevent it coming into the near shore, like coral reef important habitats, and to prevent that damage in the first place. Derelict fishing gear is any abandoned, lost, or discarded fishing gear. For example, there was a tsunami in 2011 in Japan. All the gear may have just been washed off the nearshore docks and everything into the ocean. So it's anything that's either intentionally or unintentionally ends up in the ocean. The fishermen remove the nets at sea or from the shorelines. We pay them $1 per dry pound of derelict fishing gear that they remove from the ocean. And I think this is the only program like this where we pay fishermen for derelict fishing gear.
The collaboration with the fishermen is both really rewarding for us to see, but has had a really positive impact within the community. The fishermen respond really positively to our bounty program. They are excited to be a part of it. I've gone to pick up nets before where the captain has said, oh, this is my men's cigarette money, because their wives don't let them spend money on cigarettes. And so they get excited every time they spot one, and they're out at sea, always looking for ones. You know, it's not the reason why we're paying them, but if that's what gets them involved, that's great. And so they view it very positively and spread the word to the other fishing boats that this happens.
The fishermen work together. They share info about how to remove stuff or where derelict fishing gear is located when it's reported to them. The amount of debris we've removed is pretty significant, and it encourages everyone to want to remove more. And I think providing the financial incentive, in addition to the excitement of how much we've been able to remove, it just provides an additional incentive in wanting to work harder, remove more, work together to be able to more efficiently remove plastic from the ocean. With the larger community as well, if they know that there are people working on the problem, I think it encourages them to report it more so that we can have the rapid response and remove it from the environment.
We are striving to have more involvement with our local community here on Oahu in general, so not the fishermen, but just the Kalihi community and other NGOs. We've had a lot of positive response from schools wanting to come view our recycling warehouse as part of their environmental sciences programs, but we would like to get more of the local community get involved and help sort. It's kind of hard to understand and to really grasp how large these big conglomerates are. They take up our entire warehouse. It's a bit of a daunting thing when you walk into the warehouse and you see a huge accumulation of fishing nets that you have to sort through. Not many people are willing to get down and dirty and sort all of this out, but they are always super happy that at least somebody is handling this material and it's not just going either to landfill nor to incineration. And so I would say that we're having a positive impact, but you can always have more. When you see plastic on the beach, on the floor, it's trash. The minute that somebody picks it up and sorts it into this is recyclable, this is not recyclable, that has an added value because somebody has put some work into it, put some time into it. The longer you go along that chain towards a final product, be it a chair, the higher the value that it has. You know, what you pay for a chair in a store is a lot more than what you will pay for picking up trash on the beach. And so what we want to do is we want to get as far along that chain as possible, as close to the end product as possible here in Hawaii, because that's where the value is.
So what we're working on now is sorting out the high density polyethylene from everything else, and we're working on ways to recycle that. The high density polyethylene nets are trawl nets of the marine debris in Hawaii. Those trawl nets make up a large portion of it. So if we're able to start with recycling those, that would be a step in the right direction.
HDPE, high density polyethylene. It's a readily recyclable plastic. It's your number twos. So it's what a lot of your yogurt pots and milk jugs and things are made of. Maybe a lot of packaging is made up of HDPE. So it's a readily recyclable plastic. An easy feedstock to work with, whereas some of the other ones are harder to recycle because of their mechanical and chemical properties. So when we are faced with this huge amount of marine debris that's been brought to the warehouse, we are reliant on manual labor. We are a very small team, and so we have to go for the lowest hanging fruit, which is what is easily identifiable, that doesn't require us to go to the lab to identify what kind of plastic it is, and we can just reach out and grab and put here. So we extract the HDPE from these big conglomerates that we receive to store for recycling.
From a previous study that looked at the polymers that make up different types of gear in the derelict fishing gear that we find, we found that a specific construction of net, so twisted and knotted nets that have a specific fiber type, are almost 100% of the time high density polyethylene. We can visually sort that out pretty easily without having to take it to an instrument and test each net to see the polymer type. That's how we're now able to sort the marine debris into the high density polyethylene that we're working on recycling now into the blended materials.
So we have, I want to say about 7 metric tons, so 7,000 kilos stored of HDPE ready to be turned into products. We shred it on the shredder that we have in our warehouse, and we sent it off to Omaha, Nebraska. They further crush it down into smaller pellets. They then have this big machine where they feed the shredded material into, that then melts this HDPE plastic. And at the other end, think of it almost like a Play-Doh. If you've ever played Play-Doh as a kid, when you squeeze the Play-Doh out of this mold, they squeeze it through a board mold. So this long square pipe. They chop it, and then once it dries hard. And so it's a very simple process, which is also another reason why we want to pursue that. It doesn't require mixing of any additives or any other type of processing beyond just melting it, pushing it through this mold, letting it dry. And so that also facilitates being able to use as much debris as possible.
We don't want to make sunglasses or bracelet that'll just break and end up in the trash in another month or out in, the ocean again. We want to embed that plastic and the carbon in the plastic for a long period of time. We're trialing plastic lumber to make things like decking, picnic benches, and we are currently doing different strength tests for them with different mixes of the high-density polyethylene nets versus a mix with the nets and some post-consumer recycled materials, and seeing what combination of those is the strongest.
The first boards that they have made look fantastic. They are strong and durable, and we are now undergoing testing at the University of Nebraska. We're collaborating with their engineering department for them to test the boards based on breaking strength, flexibility, and seeing if the different recipes vary in terms of their strength and flexibility. Can they crack? How long does it take them to crack? Do they warp? Do they not warp? Are they heat resistant? The engineer from the University of Nebraska was really impressed with the boards that they received. And so if that does prove successful, we will then further improve the success by bringing that ability to produce those boards here on island at a small scale.
There is not currently a recycling conversion facility, so there isn't a place that takes plastic and makes it into a new item. The recycling on island collects your curbside recycling and separates it into plastic bottles, aluminum bottles, glass bottles, and it bails that and ships it off to other places for them to do the physical recycling of it. So we're hoping to do that actual mechanical recycling here and create new products so that we reduce the shipping off island, which adds emissions.
Processing here is important for two reasons. The main reason being environmentally. Shipping things releases a lot of CO2 emissions. That impacts global warming. And so we don't want to have to ship there to then ship back. It seems unnecessary to do that when we can just produce everything here on island. So if you can produce it here, that's already a huge cost that you've eliminated, because you don't have to worry about shipping this material, neither as pellets to go there to be processed, nor as a finished product that's coming back here. And so that reduces the cost significantly of this product that we're making, which then allows more people to use it, more people to build with it.
We're hoping to do that actual mechanical recycling here and create new products so that we reduce the shipping off island, which adds emissions.
Shipping it to America to make products, to then ship the products back here, then also leaves the state of Hawaii incredibly dependent on the mainland of the US, when it would be great to be able to do everything here. Important also to have the ability to create these pellets here on island to increase manufacturing capabilities in Hawaii and job creation here in Hawaii. If we send everything off and rely on somebody else to make it, then that doesn't leave a lot of high-skilled labor here in that respect, a lot of engineering. What we want to do is we want to bring those capabilities here to Hawaii and create a small-scale circular economy, self-sustainable and self-sufficient in terms of our own waste management. And then that obviously brings new jobs, it brings, new skill developments for the communities, and then less reliant on these outside parties.
While cleaning it up is great and does make a difference, it would be easier just to stop it and drain the ocean at all. Then we don't have to clean it up. We are working on a study to use the writing on the gear when it does have the writing and it does have the languages, and them to try and source it back to where it came from, so we can work with them and try and stop the gear entering the ocean.
Just because it says made in China doesn't mean that it came necessarily from China. It could have come from somewhere here in Hawaii and was disposed here. In terms of the fishing gear, we know that it's not from here because there is no kind of fisheries that uses that type of gear. A lot of what we find are trawl nets. There are very few trawl netting fisheries in Hawaii. The predominant ones are longline fisheries. And so they use this monofilament, really thick nylon line. That sinks, it doesn't float, and we don't see any of that wash up here on the shores. And so we know that what we're washing up, because it's not that gear, it's not from the Hawaiian fisheries. We can also see, based on the material type, the quality of the polymer, that it's low quality material that rips easily, it degrades quickly. Based on conversation we've had with experts in the field, it's usually associated with more Eastern Asian countries, so more like Western Pacific countries that it comes from, but then also a lot of them come with logos, serial numbers that are associated with these foreign fleets and not from local Hawaiian fleets.
So nets are made of plastic now instead of the more natural materials that they would have used in the past, because the plastic is very cheap and durable, so it will last a long time. The nets can also be more lightweight than maybe some natural materials, and that could be beneficial for certain types of fisheries.
The impact that this has, whilst yes, you can see the large-scale impacts when it hits a reef, when it entangles a seal, but how does this break down? How quickly do these different nets break down into microplastics that then are ingested by a fish that then gets into our food chain and then gets into us? We don't really know how that happens. How does this breakdown impact climate change and carbon emissions? I think those are gaps within the marine debris field that are still needing to be addressed.
People in the plastic community use the analogy of turning off the tap. So if you had a bathtub that was overflowing with water, you wouldn't just use like a towel to mop it up. You would turn off the faucet so that more stops coming in. So that's what we need to do with plastic pollution in general, whether it be fishing gear or anything else. We need to stop it at the source so it doesn't end up in the ocean or in the environment in the first place. What we're working on with sourcing it back to the origin, that's an important solution. But while we're working on that, working on these other solutions at the time, the removal, and then trying to recycle it so it doesn't end up in a landfill or back in the environment. I think it's important to be working on all the different aspects at the same time till we get to a solution that there is no plastic in the environment, hopefully, eventually.
Funding is incredibly important. We currently need funding for a bigger warehouse space. Here on Hawaii, everything is so expensive, and so funding is fundamental to be able to do everything that we can do. We can't just operate just on volunteer time and free labor. This project is funded by the National NOAA Sea Grants College Program through that Hawaii Sea Grant. We have a donation page on our website, but now we are going to start reaching out for more private donations. We're looking for more philanthropic donations and private partners to come and help us sustain our work. Federal grants are very competitive. They take a long time to be awarded. So if we can have a private foundation that aligns with our goals, that makes for an even stronger partnership and opens us up to their network as well. The problem is here, we have to do something about it. And so I think it's really empowering seeing that people are willing to take all this trash and debris that is on their doorstep and make positive things out of it. And I think there's people around the world that really want to do this, but maybe right now don't have either the knowledge or the means. This is how you create a small circular economy model within your community that provides infrastructure that maybe that community doesn't have. Through that infrastructure, you can have jobs and you can have more skills that then attract more people to come into that community, more entrepreneurial activity. As people are like, oh great, I can use this material to make this product and I can sell this product for this use. I can use this product to help this community in this way. That will attract a lot of people to replicate. And so I think it's really empowering to be able to create this how-to in terms of marine debris recycling that then other communities can adopt